What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video. It is a reset day. That means that the hotfix buffs to Ret have come out officially, and I just wanted to show you all some of the builds that I've been running and having the most success with on day one. Now, quite obviously not done experimenting. I've only done one 3 session, a couple shuffles, a couple skirms, a couple 2s. So it's going to probably be a week-long testing session, but I want to show you what I'm having the most success with right now because it's a pretty frequently asked question. I'm currently playing Herald of the Sun, and I'm also playing 1 Minute Wings, Avenging Wrath. So Avenging Wrath now boosts our damage by 15%, up from 10%, along with the crit chance. We also get the crit buff. And there are pretty hefty Blade of Justice and Final Verdict buffs as well in the patch today. So with this, and I actually just want to briefly touch on the point, I'm only running the 2 set at the moment. I am finding that both Blade of Justice and Final Verdict hit very, very hard. I'm consistently seeing crits of Final Verdict above 2 million, which is super nice because my highest crits last week were probably like 1.3 million. So a lot of multipliers going on here. Also, our average Final Verdict went up significantly from around 500 to 600k average to around 700 to 800k average non-crits, and it feels very nice. So let's talk about the build real quick and why I think this build is very good. So if you are running the 2 set like myself, you do not have the 4 set yet, I just want to note that you'll probably find a little bit more success with improved Blade of Justice, and then after you get the 4 set, Holy Blade will be a little bit better because you'll have less globals to press your filler, your Holy Power Generator abilities. Now, with this build, I have a macro here, and we're going back to the old one-shot pop the wings macros. It's actually my final Reckoning macro here. So this macro, what this does is it pops Avenging Wrath, it pops my Badge of Ferocity, uses a Saltwater Potion if I'm in a BG, and then uses Final Reckoning at my cursor. This makes it so the Final Reckoning is benefiting through both the 15% damage increase from Avenging Wrath and our Badge Trinket, which it's been quite some time since I thought the Badge Trinket was actually a viable option. Now, since all these have a 1 minute cooldown and Avenging Wrath is doing 15% increased damage, I actually think Long Wings is a viable alternative to Radiant Glory now. We have some pretty significant goes with Herald and even with Templar as well, and I'll cover Templar after a little bit more testing. But with this build here, you have a number of different openers. My favorite current opener is very simple. You just Judge, Blade, Final Reckoning macro, Wake of Ashes, double Final Verdict, Divine Toll, Final Verdict. And you get like 23 seconds of your Avenging Wrath Sun's Avatar, and you just absolutely crank. Like Sun's Avatar does so much damage. It like clearly right here I'm not really pushing Final Verdict, but Sun's Avatar in your burst openers will be like tied for your top ability. It does so much damage because in this opener here I only had Sun's Avatar on 1 target. Final Verdict 1.7 million non-crit, 1.7 million crit. If you crit those Final Verdicts right after your Wake of Ashes with Herald and you're benefiting from the Divine Purpose proc 6% damage increase, they can hit for upwards of like 2.3 to 2.5 million. In Arena, the highest hit that I've done with Final Verdict is 2.3, and in BG Blitz, actually, no, I'm sorry, just regular BGs. No Saltwater, no Berserker, but I can't guarantee the gear of my opponents. I didn't look too closely. It was about 2.5 million, and it's just absolutely cranking. The other opener that you can do with this build here is actually a little more simple. So since we don't have to stack up your wings anymore, there's no like Crusade stacks, you can just simply go in there, you can Judge, Blade, pop your Final Reckoning macro, Final Verdict, Wake, Final Verdict, Final Verdict, Divine Toll, Final Verdict, Hammer Wrath, Divine Toll, Final Verdict. The downside to that opener here is that not everything in your rotation is going to be benefiting from the Expurgation Holy Flames buff, but at that point it's minor details. It's just minor details. I've been doing the first opener that I showed a little bit more frequently, and that's because Wake of Ashes absolutely cranks. Now, one thing that I didn't really think about prior to the build launching today is that your Wake of Ashes actually now benefits from your wings. Now, previously, when we ran Radiant Glory and Crusade, your Wake of Ashes was not benefiting from any sort of damage increase from the initial 2-stack. I mean, like 2%, sure, but that's nothing. With the wings, you're actually benefiting from the 15% damage increase, you're benefiting from the Aspirant badge, and you're benefiting from the Burning Crusade. So your Wake of Ashes hits very, very hard. My Wake of Ashes here, single target, did 3.14 million damage with a single crit, and it's pretty common to see crits on Wake of Ashes while running crit wings. So it's a lot of single target damage, and obviously, quite obviously, that Wake of Ashes cleaves, so it can hit even harder. Another point to note here is that you have a window in between your wings where you're going to be able to push Wake of Ashes. And then if you are making sure that you push your Wake of Ashes almost on cooldown, there's a little bit of wiggle room here. Almost on cooldown, you're not going to really have any downsides from this build. You have basically an 8-second window where, say I get in combat with this dummy and I don't Wake of Ashes here, I just auto attack it and I push my wings. I put at least one Dawn Light on the primary target. If there's another target around me, you have a chance to spawn up to 2 Dawn Lights around you. Most of the time I see this working as intended. The wording sounds like it has a chance. So if activating Avenging Wrath applies up to 2 Dawn Lights. So it doesn't always guarantee 2, I suppose, but in most situations, it is actually applying both Dawn Lights, but not to the same target. So it doesn't apply 16-second Dawn Light right away. So that means that you have a couple seconds, you have like 8 seconds to like get your Wake of Ashes onto the target, so you're not losing any uptime on Sun's avatar. So you have an 8-second threshold to make sure that you are trying to push your Wake of Ashes, exactly on the 30-second cooldown. But realistically, if you did it at the 38-second mark, it really wouldn't be that big a deal, because pushing wings does apply that Dawn Light. And if you guys aren't quite understanding what I'm saying, just think about it this way. You want to always have a Sun's avatar active during your wings. You don't want to do something like, oh, I'm going to push my wings on this target here, and now I have no Dawn Lights going out. Or I'm sorry, I have no Sun's avatars going out, because that's a big waste of your Avenging Wrath, and it's a situation that I think some people might run into when they're beginning to run active wings again. So just make sure that you always see that Sunbeam. You always see that Sunbeam during your Avenging Wrath, and you will find that you're doing significantly higher damage with this build than you were previously. Side note, I'm going to have a separate video on Templar, but just to briefly go over it, Templar I feel like is actually better than it was before, for sure. I just don't have enough of a comparison yet in games played. I probably played like 75% Herald, 25% Templar today. But I do think Templar is definitely playable now. The hardest Hammer of Light I hit today was about 4.2 million crit in Arena at like 2300 MMR in 3s. Or whatever my MMR is. I think it was around 2300 when we queued in. It does significant damage. It actually cranks. The downside is your Hammer of Lights that aren't going off in your burst window, they deal less damage. And also, if they're not critting, the difference between a top end Final Verdict crit and a low like non-crit Hammer of Light is less now. So that means that Hammer of Light is slightly devalued from its previous seasons that we played, bugs or no bugs. I do think Herald is going to be a little bit better overall, but again, I'll make a separate video on Templar in the future. I really, really, truly think that both Herald and Templar are probably the closest that they've been in terms of balance, and I think there are a lot of viable builds. So you guys can definitely still play Radiant Glory if you want. Radiant Glory still felt pretty good. You can copy my build here and run this if you want. I do think there's a world in BGs where we drop Zealot's Fervor and you take Judge, Jury, Executioner, especially when you get your 4-set. And Blade of Justice, by the way, I hit a 1.1 million crit Blade of Justice today, which is actually wild. It was buffed again by 20%. There's probably a world in BG Blitz where Blade of Vengeance might actually be okay. But I have not tested that yet, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I test some more builds here. But if you're wondering what I'm playing right now, what I'm having the most fun with, it is for certain Herald of the Sun with 1 minute wings, playing on use, Badge of Ferocity, and Final Reckoning. You guys just got to make sure that you are using your big hitters, the Final Reckoning, the Divine Toll, the wings, you know, in the wings window. You don't want to send them previous. You don't want to actually like treat active wings like passive wings, because you're not going to have as much success if you are Wake of Ashes, using Wake of Ashes without all these modifiers already active. So again, one more time, I'll just show you guys what the damage looks like here, and then I'm gonna head to bed. So we pop our macro, Wake, Final Verdict, Final Verdict, Final Verdict, Divine Toll, Final Verdict, Final Verdict, Hammer of Light, or Hammer of Wrath, Final Verdict, Judgment, Final Verdict. Like, the damage, oh, 2.1 million Final Verdict. Yeah, we did not see those yesterday, or maybe some of you did, I don't know, but I definitely did not. Sun's Avatar at being active for that 23 seconds straight, way burstier than the periodic Sun's Avatar that we have in the other builds. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, once again, we had over a 3 million single target Wake of Ashes. Our normal Final Reckoning with the modifiers is hitting for about 1.8 million non-crit. Divine Storm critting for 1.2 million. I know a lot of classes are hitting harder than us at this point, but just to see these numbers again feels really, really good. I'm having fun. All right, let me know in the comments what you guys are playing, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.